state that's not your own. Uh, my 5-year-old nephew, I thought, was just going to look at some pictures on the phone because we'd been to a trampoline place and I'd taken pictures of him. It's not your own. And so he was playing with buttons, and suddenly he became scared and reacting, and because the flashing lights were going off and the SOS, and I wasn't able to get it turned off in time. And the nice local Texas folks called me and asked if everything was okay. And my neighbor in Sacramento didn't realize wondered if it was a local Sacramento emergency. So she called the Sacramento Sheriff's Department.
Oh boy.
So, and then what was interesting too was by the time I got all of it turned off, the SOS was, I couldn't get rid of it in the dynamic island and I tried to hard turning it off and doing AirPlay and a couple of things and then had to Google it. I'm not quite sure now. Oh, I think actually ended up just having to touch it and then you could remove it. So it was a good learning experience for several of us.
I remember one of my early Apple Watches had some sort of problem with it, and I was taking it into Apple to have them check it out. And I did the two-button reset, and it was just while I'm driving there. And for some reason, I did something that caused the SOS to go from the Apple Watch. And so, and I thought I caught it quick enough, but I get a call from 911 and saying, no, I'm okay. I messed up. So,
I
but
didn't have very much.
there was just another incident where some car went off the side of the road and the SOS
Yeah,
saved people.
fell
So
300 feet in the UK, and
yeah,
Well, there was a local one the other day. Those kids that went off the road, two of the
yeah,
kids, one of the kids in the back seat, her iPhone automatically dialed 911. So the
ah,
fire department got to the accident within literally 3 minutes. They
Wow.
and it probably saved the one girl in the back who's in really bad condition.
None of the Android phones have anything that approaches this.
I believe they do, but I'm not sure, and that's okay.
Yeah, yeah.
It's a
I
Darwin thing. If they don't get saved, they're we still have somebody that's on here as a Zoom user. They're unmuted, which is fine. If you
That
want
is
to,
I, and they have changed the way.
well, I can put what's your name and I'll go
No,
ahead
I've
and
got it
change
on
it
there now.
for you.
And I've
Oh, there
got it.
you go.
Oh, it's
Madeline, right?
Lynn.
But
Okay.
it's always but my computer has got its name on, so it's obviously the Zoom thing. And I've got to go into Zoom someplace, and because my computer is named and it does have a name, and it,
Yeah, but it doesn't really get that. It's just kind of the first time you sign in with Zoom, but it looks like it might have got an update. But you're all fine now. So
well, I know, but it's very annoying.
yeah. Let's see. So any other questions or comments? It's been slow news, as Al will attest to once we get started here in a few
yeah.
minutes.
Bob sent me a interesting point about the different icons in the new Apple Creator Studio compared to the same application uh, for the one-time purchase. It looks pretty different. I can't say that I like them. I think it's hard to tell at a first glance uh,
Yeah, because we're
what the
so used to
function.
it. But the
Yeah,
same applies to the numbers pages in Keynote too.
yeah, yeah. I agree.
And I was
I,
looking see if I could find one for
Mhm.
those apps, Ken. So far, no luck.
Yeah, I can probably find it online, but it's
Probably, probably somebody like Al can make one up.
There's it's interesting in how they're kind of handling that, and and I'm going to have a short discussion about upcoming WWDC also, as I'm sure Al will too. In fact, I'll chime in after Al
Sure.
talks about WWDC coming up. So, and then of course we're going to talk about Safari, and one of the big things I'm going to do in Safari is how in Safari for you guys to use Google Gemini. So that it's very nice, and it makes it very easy, and it's an on-ramp. And that's a precursor to what we're going to be getting in the new OS in the fall.
I
So
have a I have a question.
go for it, Donna.
I get a notification that support is ending for Intel-based apps and that an app or a component used by the app will not work with future releases of Mac OS. And it has to do with my Epson printer.
Yeah. So
What does
and
that
it's
mean?
yeah. So good.
Oh,
And I've had a few people ask me about that, so I'm glad you brought that up.
Yeah.
So first of all, let's address Epson, and let's address it in general. So Apple provides the drivers for your Epson printers and stuff. But if there are very few people that use the Epson software for different things like scanning and that kind of stuff. So the Epson software, again, it's rare that people use that. And it seems that they have not updated it to support the Apple Silicon. And what that means is it uses an intermediate program that Apple has. And and the name just like flittered away.
Rosetta?
Rosetta, yes. Sorry, thank you. Rosetta 2 it is actually. So Rosetta, so first of all, if you're on an Intel machine, it's not a problem. If you're on an M series, the Apple Silicon machine, there's this program that will run anytime you would run an app that is an Intel only app, Intel being the older chip, uh, it will automatically fire up Rosetta. And the first time it will ask you if you want to install Rosetta, and it'll go on. But we don't know that they are probably discontinuing Rosetta in the OS this fall. But and the weird thing is, I mean, it's a long time since they've done Intel only apps. So that will go away. But again, no problem with your Intel printer, because Apple provides the drivers for scanning and for printing on the Epson. I said Intel printer, excuse me, on the Epson printers. So it's a non-issue on that. And it's nice that Apple does that, because then it stays up to date, and everything works really well. So I think they're just passing that along. There are certain programs with Epson that very few people use. Obviously, in the PC world, that's what they use for all their stuff. But in the Apple one, you don't have to have any of that installed. And so I doubt it's going to affect many people. And
Okay, so
So
they're
what
Apple.
and somebody else, I had a client email me and say, well, do I need to install Rosetta? Well, Rosetta is baked into the operating system. And if you happen to fire up an old app, like an old version of Microsoft Office or something like that, that was Intel only based, not a universal, not a Apple Silicon based one, it would prompt you and ask you, do you want to fire up Rosetta? And you just agree to that, and then Rosetta gets fired up. And then if you come back 2 days later, you don't have to do it again. It's just already running. So Rosetta is this, think of it like a translation program.
Okay.
And again, it's automatic, so you don't need to go install or uninstall. And I don't know. I think Epson is just trying to be a little proactive, but if they really wanted to be proactive, they would make Apple Silicon software
Yeah.
instead of doing it. And Epson's been really pretty good about supporting Macs through the years. So, and this does not apply to iOS devices. We had it a long time ago in iOS, around, I forget which iOS number it was. You couldn't, there were certain old apps that ran on older OSs, but there was no translator app. Okay, good question, Donna. Go
Thank you.
ahead, Bev.
I was just going to say, I ran through all my, on this kind of similar topic, I ran through all my apps. It said to go to your Finder and go to applications. I went through and looked at all the apps that were on my MacBook Pro M2, not MacBook Pro, MacBook Air. And the only one that was not a universal, which therefore is going to work fine on the Silicon chip, was Google Earth Pro.
Right, and they have a new version of Google Earth that works with the Apple Silicon, so you would
Okay, because
you
when I
would
went
download
in,
that.
interesting, because when I Googled Google Earth Pro about operating system or something, it said that they had not written one yet for the Silicon chip.
Well, let me look. I just pulled
Well, and
mine
this is
up.
Google Earth Pro, and I don't know if
No, yeah,
Google Earth
yeah.
is different than Google Earth Pro.
Okay, I have
But
Google Earth Pro, and I will hit Command I. Oh, it's Intel only.
yeah,
Yeah, but I also think you can do it in the browser.
yes, I think you can. It was a genealogy program I was listening to, and for some reason they suggested there might be a little more functionality if you downloaded it on, so I dutifully did that. But
Yeah.
listening to
Well, in
Pete,
fact,
he
I
goes,
just recently, I didn't have it on here and I downloaded it just recently, so I assumed it was. Let me share my screen and show everybody where they can go check what apps are what. And we did this a long time ago when it was first dropping that. But let me go up to About This Mac and click More Info. And when you go over here, they've of course changed it since I last did this. Let's see here. System report. So in the system report, I'll hide others to make it more here. So you come down here to software and applications. So again, Apple logo, come down to About This Mac, then go into more info. And then when I go to applications, it'll take a minute to fill in, and I'll slide the little window shade down. And then you can show here under kind. So if you click on kind, it will sort by kind. So I have some old brother stuff, all kinds of old Intel stuff. So none of that will work, like these old topazes and things like that. And then universal is fine. And yeah, that's it. So did I lose you guys?
No, I got it.
Oh, something
yeah.
shut
Now,
down on my,
where's your Google Earth?
oh, Google Earth. Well, I went to the app and just did a Command I. So let me go up to, we know it's Intel. So
Okay,
actually,
yeah,
now let me do it by alphabetical.
yes,
So Google Earth Pro right here, Intel.
yeah,
And
mm-hmm.
so you'll see also I have iOS on
Intel,
here because you can run iOS apps on your Macs now too. And that's why
Universal
I
Intel.
have a couple iOSs. So yeah, good point. I'm going to unshare my screen now for now, since we can get our rogues gallery back. Hi, Keith. Good question on that, Bev. Keith, go right ahead.
So I have a totally different topic. I want to talk about photography. I've decided to get rid of a lot of my camera equipment um, because I'm getting older and I don't want to carry it all around and use my iPhone a lot more to take pictures with what I'm doing locally. So my first is a question for you, since you do a lot of photography. What percentage of your images that you take do you use with your iPhone versus your other camera?
So when I'm on a trip, I have to say that I take 95 to 98% of my photos with the iPhone.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. And so I have a trip coming up. I'm going, well, we have the Great Race, which of course I can't use an iPhone on that because our iPhone and anything digital, my Apple Watch, everything has to be locked in the trunk. But I have a little Sony pocket camera that I can use because it's not telling me time. So I'm able to use that. And I also have a Insta360 that we mount to the car that does a recording. So
Okay.
that's all legal in this whole thing because we have to have an analog speedometer, an analog clock. The only digital thing I can use is actually a stopwatch, and it's got digital numbers on it. And so that was just kind of a consideration they made because it's the same as a sweep second hand. But anyway, I can use that for pictures when I'm in the race. Now I'm going to Africa, and the big problem is we have this one plane in Kenya that's like an 8-passenger plane, and my limitation is 33 pounds in a canvas bag.
Wow.
So it's going to limit what I can do with photography. But I have a plan because I still want to take 2 lenses and one body. And because I want to do some nighttime photography also. And that's one lens, but I'm going to need a zoom, and I have a Scotty vest.
Yeah.
So I could put that lens in a case and put it in my Scotty vest pocket, and that does not count
It
towards
weighed.
my 33 pounds.
Yeah.
So that's at least that's my intention. But man, I'll tell you, we're going for 2.5 weeks. It's really hard to 33 pounds is like, yeah,
Minimal.
so, and part of that is because, and it's got to be in a duffel type bag because, we're going across the countryside in Jeeps from hotel to, well, from tent or hotel
Hence,
to each
yeah.
other. So, but anyway, Keith, and to bring up a little bit more point on that, with the new iPhone 17, I have an 8X zoom. And to be honest, I was just dying to get that because I had to wait till I got back from my trip, my around the world trip. And I find that 8X is a lot. I don't even ever really use the 8X because you're handheld and stuff. But one thing they're doing in the rumors are saying for the iPhone 18 this fall is it will now have an actual aperture that's adjustable
But that's
in
only
the
on the main lens.
uh well, is that what you've read?
Yes, that's what I've read in all the rumors about the iPhone
Okay.
18.
Well, that would kind of make sense, but what they have done is they've upped all the lenses to 48 megapixel,
Yeah.
well, interpolated.
So
So
my question for you is, I could go get an iPhone 17 Pro now because it has this better telephoto, or I could wait until the 18 Pro comes out in September and it has some other features on it that may be useful for me.
are you going on any trips between now and then?
Not big ones. I might go to day trips somewhere, but not a lot. So,
My recommendation is you're late in the sequence. I'd wait.
okay. The iPhone 18 had something that may be useful to me. I
Well,
live in an area with,
rumored to have, you have to understand,
okay, thank you.
rumored.
I live in an area that has a lot of spotty cell phone reception. And the iPhone 18 is supposed to have a link to the Starlink internet so that you can get internet connections anywhere that there's no cell phone towers.
Well,
How
now
useful is that?
I don't think they said Starlink, did they? They said
I
satellite.
satellite. Yes.
Yeah,
Okay.
so that's a bit of a thing, and I'll go into detail on this because I think it's important and it's what's coming. So Apple has partnered up with a different satellite company, and it's too bad. They will probably change because in the near future, Starlink, like for instance, remember when we had all the floods in Tennessee? Starlink was able to send signals down from, there were no cell towers left in all that flooding. And they were able to let anybody from any carrier, if the phone was less than 5 years old, they could give them limited service, but from the satellite. Starlink is just starting to launch their version 3 satellites, which will have 10 times the amount of speed, and you'll cover more satellites. And they will use a thing called DTC, which is direct to cell. So it'll start out with just messages with very little data, and then it'll do phone calls, and then eventually it'll be the full boat. Now, T-Mobile customers can get satellite for an extra $10 a month. So are you a T-Mobile customer?
Yes.
So you should be able to, regardless of Apple and their process on that, you can for $10 a month get the satellite service, but it's going to improve, and that is Starlink on that one. The T-Mobile one is Starlink. So basically what they're doing is they're able to use the same frequency as the cell phone towers. So your phone, the iPhone 17 will do it. Ever since the iPhone 15, we've been able to get satellite because the satellites are using the regular cellular frequency. So, but it's still in its infancy, Keith.
Okay.
All right. And for you, the best thing is turn on Wi-Fi calling when you're around your house, and then it uses your router and your internet rather than the cell towers. Because I know that's a tough area up there.
Okay.
Mary, go for it.
Okay, well, I listen to late night radio. What can I say? And they had a
It
guy
and
named,
it doesn't put you to sleep, it sounds like.
not always. This one was really interesting. It was a guy named Rick, yeah, something. And he has developed an application that for those, it was all about privacy. And one of the things that has is an app that has, what it does is, you know how phones are always listening to us? It is a way to have it send just no noise at all. And so that it still sends the sound, but the sound is an empty room. And have you guys heard of this? And
No, but now, was he talking about Androids or iPhone specifically?
I kind of came into that a little late. I am not sure, but I'll try to get the name of the guy because it sounds like he is not a flake. He's a real deal
Well, so on your
programmer.
iPhone, if your microphone is on, there's a green dot up in the dynamic island. I'm sorry, an orange dot. If your camera's on, it'll be green.
Well,
Now, that's kind of like a white noise generator. It makes a little bit of
yeah.
sense, but that's why specifically, if I ever turn on Facebook, I force quit it. And yeah, there's some stuff, but yeah, it's
It, I'll look up the name in case anybody's
yeah, it'd
interested
be good to research.
because it
Rick's, just look
sounded,
up Rick something.
yeah, I'm going to do that. No, I think I have a way to find it, but I thought you guys may have heard about it. But for privacy, because I know we talk about something and all of a sudden you see ads for that kind of thing all the time.
Yeah.
So, and Apple got in trouble for doing that, I know. So,
I
okay.
I have a question. To, it's crazy, but is there ever a chance that Apple will go backwards and have a small, simple phone for older people who not me, who
Now,
Not
small,
you.
simple,
who,
and older.
who
I can maybe
cusses
give
out his
you.
phone every time he gets another message that he can't open.
Well, so are you?
Oh,
So, well, they are. Rumors have it they're coming out with a smaller phone, but it will fold in half and be pretty small. But they do have um, the light or the Air, excuse me, the iPhone 17 Air. But um, are you talking about the complexity of using it, or are
yeah,
you?
yes.
Well, then just
And
go get
and
what
and
they
and
used to
there's
call those
no
things.
no. What it is, it has no use except as a phone and maybe a couple apps.
Well, you don't have to use all the stuff, but then it wouldn't be an iPhone.
Right, but it's it's the downloads of messages. It's the way that a phone call comes in. Sometimes it's the text of it. Sometimes it's
Well,
all over the place.
those are settings that you can change and turn off. But I
Well,
know what you're saying. It's a little overwhelming.
it's over. It's yeah, and
So
this is
I
an
would
old.
recommend that when we have the Saturday, the third Saturday class or whatever it is, those are the kind of things that you can go into detail to really to turn off so it's less
It's simple.
distracting.
Yeah, this is a 10 SX, long time ago
Wow.
phone,
Well, that's
but it
not a new phone
updates.
by any means. That's
But it
7 years.
updates.
That's actually 7 years, 7 or 8 years old now.
Yeah,
And have you replaced the battery?
no,
Well,
but it
yours,
updates, huh?
it won't, no, it's done updating.
No, it still does.
Yeah, next one won't do it.
Won't do it. Okay, well,
Yeah, it's
good. I need to.
iPhone 11 and newer in the OS that's coming out this fall.
Okay,
Now,
okay.
and I should say, yeah, you don't want all this new fancy stuff, but the big deal is if you stop being able to update to current OSs,
Yeah, no,
you risk some vulnerabilities for security.
yeah. So you're saying a 17 Lite might have fewer uh, options to change your settings and
No,
such.
the new phones won't have any less options.
The 17 Air, no?
Yeah, no, it's just a smaller phone. That
Oh,
was
okay.
getting one of your things.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
So,
that's true. It has to be small too. Yeah.
yeah.
Thank you.
So the ticket on that, they make a 17E that's a pretty capable phone. It's only got one camera on it, and it's the least expensive phone at 600 retail.
Oh gosh,
So,
yeah.
all right,
Thank you.
I
good.
put a link in the chat for the iPhone Air specs. If you want to click that link, it'll tell you everything you need to know about it, including the size. I'm not sure what your requirements might be, but it's pretty light. It's 5.82 ounces. It's
And the problem is, if you go too small, then the screen you can't read as
fat
well.
fingers.
Well,
It's
but
about
also the being able to read the screen.
Yeah, it's a little bit more than 6 by 3 inch, by a quarter inch. So I mean that's the form factor.
Yeah,
Uh,
there's a spot on Apple, and you can go in and when you go into iPhones, you can put up to three different ones and compare all the specs.
Okay.
And
Thank
that
you
goes
both.
back even a ways on there. I'm not sure it'll go back to the 10S, but it'll go back a ways.
And I just put the link in, I mean, the information. It's Rick Ralston, and it's called Mic Lock, and it's a device as opposed to an app. So anyway, I put
Oh,
that info in
interesting.
the chat. Yeah, yeah,
Cool. Well, somebody will check it out and let us know.
yeah.
Lisa, go for it.
Yeah, hi. I'm off camera because I'm using my iPad and nobody wants to get seasick as it moves around.
Yeah.
Just trying
Thank
to
you.
save everybody from that. Just a comment. I know there are people in our lives that do not want to upgrade their phones because they don't want to learn a new system. it's inevitable. You're going to have to do it. I have a beloved nephew who is still using, I think, a flip phone. And he only uses it really for texts and for making phone calls. Everything else is useless to him. And that's one of his arguments is, I don't want to learn a new system. And because we're trying to get him over to the Apple family, might as well join the rest of us over here in our little cult. And we keep trying to tell him that it doesn't matter. Even if he went to a new Android, he'd have to learn a new system by this time. So
wait,
anyway,
so you're liberally saying learn a new system. If he's on a flip phone,
yeah.
he doesn't have a system.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's as his wife says, it's painful to watch him make a phone call. It's just painful. And
you know what? And he's probably happier than all of us because he doesn't get inundated with
he
stuff.
is the happiest because he tells everybody, I may have the phone with me. It doesn't mean that I am going to be answering the phone or answering your text right away. I don't hear it. So we know when we text him, we text his wife at the same time. And if necessary, she'll get a hold of him and say, hey, answer your, texts and your phone. But
that's
sweet, sweet, sweet guy, but just is like, this isn't for me. And I'm like, Mike, it's going to stop working. It's just going to go dead on you. And then what are you going to do?
Yeah,
so
the thing is, like those flip phones, he probably has a battery that lasts all week. I mean, think back to those days.
And particularly the way he uses it, it'll last all week. So anyway, just food for thought, nothing important.
One more food for thought on this subject, and it's actually the size. I know of people that want to keep that small size that Apple doesn't make anymore.
Yeah, when they had the mini was popular, but not enough.
Not a mini. It was two or three models back. You had the shorter phone, the one that actually could go in your shirt pocket without excess hanging over,
falling out.
You mean the SE?
Well,
yeah.
no, there was they made a mini for two different times, but the original footprint of the phone was considerably smaller. It is what it is.
Yep.
Anyway, I'd like to we can just go, Al, if you want to share your screen, we'll go right into that.
Okay.
And then when I break away to mine, I have two little note things that I'll do.
All righty. Let me see here.
Al he always puts together such great stuff. And I got to tell you, just getting all the links that he does and everything else, it is such a benefit.
Everybody see the screen?
I see blue.
There we go.
There we go.
Incidentally, these icons here are the from left to right. These are the oldest to the newest, except the one on the right. It was so flashy. I thought we'd throw that in because it was kind of clever.
Yeah, that's a kind of interesting one. Yeah.
I thought it was pretty clever.
Was that AI? I bet that one was AI generated.
No, I just was searching around Google Images, and it, it was some obscure spot, and I thought, oh, that's kind of cool looking.
Notice how it has all the countries of the world above the S there.
Yeah.
And it looks more like a real compass.
Yeah. It shows if you look at the the official Apple icons and stuff, they're all showing a real specific direction, and this is obviously pointing in a different direction. I'm sure there's some reason, but
I'll bet there is, because it's like anytime you see an image of a phone, it's at 9:48 or something like that, which is when Steve Jobs pulled the phone out of his pocket, January 9th, 2007.
Yeah.
But they might have something about where the compass rose is pointing.
Yeah.
That having the map of the globe, of the surface of the Earth, suggests it might be from the perspective of another continent?
Perhaps, perhaps.
Well, then there's news on that. There's an eighth continent they're talking about now. New Zealand might be its own.
Yeah. Huh. Interesting.
How would it
Well,
get promoted?
What? Well, it was because in the original Pangea, it was a different it, and then reaching up into some of Southeast Asia was a whole different plate.
all righty. Moving on here. Welcome to the Apple Tech News and Rumors segment of the May General Meeting. Hope everyone had a good Memorial Day holiday. First up, Apple's Worldwide Developers Conference 2026 will kick off June 8th at 10 a.m. Pacific time with the keynote, and the platform's State of the Union kicks off at 1 p.m. WWDC 2026 is shaping up as Apple's AI credibility test. The dominant rumor is a major Siri and Apple Intelligence reset in iOS 27 and macOS 27. This is technically not this month, but it happened after our last general meeting on April 13th. Apple reported its Q2 2026 earnings highlights. It's another money-making machine. Apple delivered its best March quarter ever. Revenue reached $111.2 billion. That was up 17% year over year. Of course, beat the analysts' expectations of roughly 109 to 110 billion. The iPhone led the way with revenue coming in around 57 billion, and China bounced back. They brought in 20.4 billion. Services kept setting some records. They made roughly 31 billion. They had continued growth with Apple TV Plus, subscriptions, the App Store, cloud and ecosystem services. And of course, there were some new Mac products that also help. The Apple cited demand for the lower cost 17E iPhone and the MacBook Neo, as well as a new M5 Max. They had some discussion about AI, of course, more forthcoming. Apple warned about headwinds that include memory prices rising due to the AI industry demand. Some advanced chip supply remains constrained, and Apple expects some cost pressure later in the year. Big picture, this earnings report mattered beyond the numbers because it came during Apple's leadership transition. Tim Cook preparing to step down, and John Ternus preparing to take over. Investors view the report as evidence that Apple entered the transition from a position of strength. For Apple Watches, the key takeaway was hardware stayed strong, services kept growing, China improved, AI remains the big unresolved story heading into Worldwide Developers Conference next month. They just keep printing money.
And with Tim Cook stepping down, he still will be the chairman of the board.
Yes.
And that's a big deal. So
Yeah.
it kind of takes him out of day to day, and because he's just such a statesman with
He's
all the different countries in the world that that's very encouraging, and
he's
he'll do
definitely
that for a while.
he's definitely an ambassador, and I think it actually takes a load off of John Ternus if he can be the front facing, taking on geopolitical issues. I think it's a good move for Apple, and I think Wall Street likes it. As always, if you're a financial numbers nerd, I recommend you see Jason Snell's Six Colors website. He does excellent in-depth analysis, complete with around 21 charts about anything you could possibly want. It's very well done. On May 11th, Apple released iOS 26.5. Here's a brief summary of some of the features. iOS 26.5 adds some new wallpapers for iPhone users. The new wallpapers come as part of Apple's 2026 Pride collection. The Pride Luminance wallpapers are highly customizable. Users can choose from dozens of different color combinations. Last month, Apple announced its plans to bring ads to Apple Maps this summer. iOS 26.5 lays the groundwork for that change, adding the following text. Maps may show local ads based on your approximate location, current search terms, or view of the map while you search. Uh, as of iOS 26.5, however, Apple hasn't actually rolled out any ads to the maps. Um, iOS 26.4 also enables a new suggested places feature in Maps. This feature, which you can see above, will display recommendations based on what's trending nearby and the user's recent searches and more.
And I think that'll once we get AI integration with everything, it will base that on your previous preferences and searches and things too. So I think it's setting the stage for that.
Yeah, I agree. One of the most notable features in 26.5, it adds support for end-to-end encryption for RCS messaging. Apple says the feature, which is still a beta technically, will roll out gradually over the following months. Apple started testing end-to-end encryption for RCS messaging with the last version, with 26.4. The feature, however, it didn't actually ship as part of this particular update. Apple said it would come as a part of a future iOS 26 update. Now, as part of 26.5, RCS end-to-end encryption is rolling out to everyone. The feature is enabled by default. You can manage the option by first going to your settings, then to messages, and then to RCS messaging, where you'll see a new end-to-end encryption toggle.
So what
What
this
is our,
means is
yeah.
we currently have, whenever you send a blue text, that's Apple device to Apple device. And that is 100% encrypted end to end. You have don't worry about anything you put in there because only the recipient can read it unless someone's looking over their shoulder. Now, RCS is the green text, and that we only in the last year or two have gotten it where you can send pictures and other stuff to the people that have Androids and the green texts. And part of the reason Apple put this off for a long time is because it was not encrypted. So now, because the RCS, which is the generic service, it adds to it, and there it is, rich communication system. And you're able to send it to somebody on a green and it will have end-to-end encryption. I I better trust the blue one than I do the green one, but I really think it's going to be pretty good. But it's amazing, and it's been the one thing that Apple they used to try get an Apple about not being able to get good communication to the people with Androids and stuff, but it really had to do with the fact that their system was just not very good. Now, here's the difference. If you send a blue text, it can go over the cell towers as data or over your Wi-Fi as data. When you send a green text, it only goes over the cell tower, not over the Wi-Fi. And that's just to let you know. So if you were in an area where you had no cell coverage, but you happen to have Wi-Fi, it's unlikely the green text would go, and that's been the way it has been for a long time. But a blue text is always going over the data network, whether it be data coming off the cell tower or data that you're using Wi-Fi for. So that's the big difference between the two.
I put a quick couple of slides in here. Figure it might be useful for some a little primer. Obviously, RCS stands for Rich Communication Services. Um, Apple's implementation of RCS encryption on iPhone is essentially an extension of Messages app that brings secure, modern texting to iPhone and Android conversations. It's a modern, capable text messaging standard designed to replace the aging SMS and MMS texting. RCS adds features people now expect, stuff like high resolution photo and video sharing, uh, typing indicators, read reports, large file transfers, uh, group chats with better controls, uh, reactions and emojis, and of course, improved security, including the end-to-end encryption on supported implementations.
There were problems with people when you would try send someone more than one picture or a bigger picture, you would have trouble with it. Where with the blue texts, it would work just great. You could send like a 3-minute movie if you wanted to.
Yeah.
So RCS has evolved, and that's going to help it. It's still, it won't always work, but it's more likely to work than it has been in the past.
Yeah. What is replacing the SMS, which stands for Short Message Service? It first came about in the 90s and only supported plain text. MMS was developed later and released around 2001, 2002 to wider commercial rollouts. Phones with built-in cameras helped MMS explode in popularity. It's since the mid 2000s, MMS became the standard to send photos between phones before smartphones and internet messaging apps took that over.
MMS stands for Multimedia Service.
Yeah, multimedia messaging
Multimedia
service.
message service. Excuse
Yeah,
me.
yeah, messaging service. Yeah. Apple has provided a link so you can view the carriers that actually support RCS end-to-end encryption on this webpage. The feature is rolling out gradually over the coming months, even if a carrier is listed on the page above. And if you go to the site, it's just pages and pages. There's quite a few people who support it, and they have it by country, so it's pretty thorough. If you see, even if a carrier is listed on the above web page as supported, the feature may not be available for all users on the carrier right away.
And the sender and the receiver need to have the carrier have that capability.
Yeah. Rest assured that the major U.S. carriers and others have signed on for it. iPad OS 26.5 arrived on May 11th. The latest issue adds features in a variety of areas similar to the iOS version that I showed earlier. That includes new wallpapers, the Apple Maps updates, some reminders, stuff where if you're snoozing a due reminder, you'll see new options with precise times, so you know more exactly when the reminder will pop back up.
That was a surprise, and I love it.
Yeah, yeah. The App Store users on the outside the U.S. and Singapore will see a monthly with 12-month commitment option appear for in-app subscriptions. Also, I guess with some of the Magic accessories like the Magic Keyboard, Magic Trackpad, and the Magic Mouse, they can pair by just plugging them in. It's pretty straightforward. On May 11th, Apple released macOS 26.5. Here are a few of the release items. Smaller update than macOS 26.4. This is mostly a polish, stability, and refinement release rather than a feature-packed update. It comes with new power control options. If you have a Mac Mini or a Mac Studio or an iMac, users get new energy savings energy settings that allow power control through assistive accessories and switches. RCS messaging course, like we talked about before, end-to-end encryption between iPhone and Android messaging and privacy. The Apple Maps, of course, the suggested places that we talked about earlier. I can make obviously make recommendations and suggested destinations while searching. In Europe, the live activities changes. Third-party accessories gained expanded live activities support in the EU. Some of the App Store subscription changes. Developers can now offer 12-month subscriptions billed monthly, giving users another payment option. And of course, security fixes. The release includes a large set of bug fixes and security patches across Apple platforms. Overall take, macOS 26.5 is more of a maintenance plus under the hood improvements release. Apple appears to be stabilizing Tahoe and shifting attention toward macOS 27 and WWDC 2026. And finally, tonight, I came across this interesting Apple Insider editorial. Apparently, Apple's AI spending strategy remains dramatically different from their rivals. Instead of pouring enormous sums into AI infrastructure, Apple's keeping its capital spending relatively steady while competitors race to build massive data centers and GPU farms. Here's a graph to illustrate the quarterly expenditures of the major players. Some of the key takeaways. OpenAI is reportedly losing money at pretty alarming rate. Estimates suggest OpenAI loses about $1.22 to $1.25 for every $1 in revenue it generates. It has huge AI infrastructure costs are a major factor. OpenAI's spending commitments are massive. The company is reportedly committed to roughly $600 billion in future server and data center investments. Some of the long-term agreements with chip makers and cloud providers could reach 1.4 trillion by 2033. Apple's making a slower, lower risk approach. Apple's avoiding the AI spending arms race rather than trying to own every piece of AI infrastructure. Apple's leveraging its strengths like its hardware, its ecosystem integration, its on-device processing, and of course, privacy.
Before you flip that slide, go ahead, but don't flip this slide.
Okay.
I've got some comments.
Okay, great. The article argues Apple may not need to win the AI race. Apple's ecosystem already puts AI tools in front of hundreds of millions of users. AI companies may ultimately need Apple platforms more than Apple needs them. Investor sentiment appears to support Apple's patience. Wall Street has largely continued rewarding Apple despite criticisms that its AI rollout has been slower than its competitors. The overall theme, Apple the Insider frames Apple as playing a long game, letting competitors absorb enormous costs and risks, while Apple waits for the economics and technology to mature before committing heavily. Go ahead, Ken.
Well, that statement you just read is profound, but it's not that they planned it that way. It's just Siri was so broken and their AI was so bad that they took a step back. But which I think they lucked out, and that's good. But it's going to benefit us. So when we look at this, when you look at this chart, so Amazon is spending the most, and these are capital expenditures per quarter for $40 billion. Now, what a lot of you might not be aware of is we know Amazon where we buy stuff from, but the most profitable and one of the biggest parts of Amazon is they have AWS, which is Apple or Amazon's web services. So essentially, they have these huge computer farms and these huge places, and other companies, including the ones mentioned here, they basically lease space on those computers. It's a huge part of their business. So that could account for that capital expenditure part. So, and if you look at, they were already back in 2020, 2021, they were already spending a lot there. So, and that's for all that computer space. So the same thing applies with AI now is, for instance, Tesla built out a whole big thing for Grok and they're not using it yet. So they're leasing part of that to Anthropic and to somebody else. So because these big companies are planning on building all this infrastructure, and the problem is it costs a lot. And then the big problem is they can't get enough electricity for it. And so everybody's trying to be the number one. And the problem is there's going to be 3 or 4 that kind of go to the top, and then everybody will be also RANs. But remember, computers have a pretty short life on their expectancy because something new comes along. I just read a report today that where for AI, they're using 4 GPUs for every computer, where they think that's going to go away and now it'll be 1-to-1 after that. So these older computer things are going to come into play. So I don't know. And I was going to address it a little later in my presentation because I'm going to dive into it a little bit. But Alphabet, which is Google, they have an agreement with Apple. So starting, we'll see it in the Worldwide Developer Conference, but this fall, integrated into iOS 27 and macOS 27, you will have AI built in from Google Gemini. So the beauty there is Apple is not having to invest all this money into all of this infrastructure. They're just going to use the existing infrastructure. And what they're going to do, though, is they're going to silo that information and put it so that Google doesn't get any of that information and it's not out there. It's private, it's secure. And the way Apple's doing this is they're basically spending $1 billion, which seems like a lot, to be able to use Gemini inside their own stuff for a year. But remember, Google pays Apple $4 billion a year to be the default search engine in all of our Apple devices. So realistically, you look at this like it's just kind of a trade back and forth. And I think it's absolutely brilliant. Now, when you have the new OS, all the rumors are pointing to, you can still use the other artificial intelligence if you want, but the Siri or the in-device will default to Gemini. And of course, Gemini gets a little bit, that's all ad revenue driven, whereas the other ones, people are paying money to use meta search. They're using it for OpenAI, ChatGPT, and stuff like that. So I think it's fantastic and a great way to do it. And I did verify this afternoon, because I knew I'd be talking about it, that there are no limitations. And I'm going to show you when I go into Safari how Gemini works inside Safari. And that's just the start. And you be able to do as many searches as you want, where most of the other platforms, if you're on the free version, you're limited to how many queries, or what they call tokens, you can do. So I think Apple, they lucked out. They're late, but it's kind of like Apple is not always the first, but they're always the best. And still, there's going to be AI out there that will do specific tasks and do work type things. But for our everyday use, I think it's a wonderful solution. So thanks for having that chart up there, Al. That shows a
Yeah.
lot.
Maybe In a recent court proceeding, discovery court proceeding, the Apple was and Google were involved in. I think weren't they? Didn't they cop to the fact that they were paying somewhere between 18 and $20 billion a year to Apple to be their default? I thought it was.
It might be, I've heard more, not recently, but a few months ago, it was 4 billion.
Okay, I'll have to look that up for us.
Yeah. I mean, either
Yeah.
way,
Yeah,
it's,
it's a
it's
lot of
nice.
money.
But again, Apple, people can decide to make their search be DuckDuckGo or things like that. And I'll show that when I'm doing Safari. But it's, and the whole idea is Google monetizes that because of the ads that show up. When you do a Google search, the first 3 or 4 are going to be advertising. And then after that, it's the algorithm.
Yeah, yeah. Uh, Again, as always, all the links generated tonight will be distributed in a PDF by Bob White in his normal MacNexus email blast. I will post it sooner on our Facebook page. Our Facebook page is a great forum for late breaking, curated Apple and tech news and support. We encourage everyone to come check it out.
And great job, Al. I mean, as always, I mean, you do it so well. And so, and this thing I think is so cool. I saw that earlier. Cool. All right. I will now, well, are there any questions for Al on any of that? Because it was all pretty, it was a slow news week, but he
Yeah,
sure, or news month, I should
news
say.
month. Yeah. Other than the changes in management, which I think got covered ad nauseum last month. Um, and of course,
Where did you
Apple's.
where did you get your figures?
Oh, he made them up.
Which figure?
No.
The chart
No,
showing.
go ahead, Al.
It should be that chart that you see up there. There's here
It
there
was linked. It was linked in the.
at the bottom of the screen. Wherever I post a slide, I post the source, and I can post that in the chat here if you're interested. And you want to go look it up, but it's a pretty
Yeah,
good
and it
editorial.
was good because it went back to 2020, I think.
Yeah, see if I can dig it up here. CAI editorial.
All right. Well, oops. While Al's doing that, so do we have any volunteer or member announcements from the crowd, the August crowd? We're at 30 people. All right. So I do want to announce we did tech Q&A earlier, and at the end of my presentation, we'll go ahead and I'll do we'll do questions and answer. But I want to tell you about a July meeting date change. The regular fourth Wednesday general meeting will be the same. And Bob, did we rectify that? It's July 18th, correct?
Correct.
Yeah, so normally the first Saturday class, which would be the next one coming up, it falls on July 4th. And so that won't work. And then I will be traveling, getting ready for the great race. And June 11th is when they have the WITS. And Pete, that's also Pete's birthday. So it's unlikely we would get Pete Losey in. So the first Saturday will now be on the third Saturday, which is July 18th. Is it 18th?
Yeah.
Yeah, July 18th. And then the regular meeting will be the following Wednesday, I think it is. So anyway, that's just a bit of a change, and it's to be determined whether it will be Pete or it will be Karen and Richard and the normal third Saturday group on that. So, and it really just all had to do with the falling on 4th of July, and especially with it being the 250th anniversary. I think a lot of people are going to be pretty busy, and Unfortunately, I'll be in the air, but I've got the hat. I'll be wearing it on the plane that's got the 250th, and I think everybody have a wonderful Independence Day. So, Al did the rumors and everything. I do want to show a couple of things here. The U.S. Mint has put out a Steve Jobs coin, and it's a $1. I believe it's a $1. Yeah, it's a $1 coin, and I was lucky enough. One of the guys out here is on the email list from the Mint when they do stuff, and he was able to pick up a few of these, and he got me one. I've seen places on eBay with these, and they're like $3.50 or something. But it's every state gets to do theirs, and this was the California one. And it was Steve Jobs here, ostensibly in an apple orchard, and then this is the front and the back of it. So it's not gold, it's gold colored. It is not a gold coin. So I thought that was pretty interesting. And I want to point out, actually, two of our raffle prizes tonight will be so you can get David Pogue's book. It was such a wonderful presentation he did. It's recorded. If you weren't able to make it, it's in our MacNexus demo YouTube channel. And I'll tell you, it was a wonderful, wonderful presentation.
It was great.
This QR code is a link to the book, and I'm sure Al will. But and by the way, it's down in Amazon now. It's lowered in price. It's at $28.46 or something for the hardcover. And David Pogue, and we linked it in the last thing. He will send you a signed, they call it a book plate, where you just put it in the book, not the book itself. So
Nice.
that being said, I'm going to go out and going to bring up Safari, and we're going to do Safari on the Mac and on the iPhone. And feel free to ask questions as we go along. And I'm going to go into my computer. And so, for instance, like here's our MacNexus website. But what I want to do is, well, first, let's talk about just kind of the features going around here. If I go up to Safari and go to Safari settings, one of the first things I talked about a minute ago was that you can change your search. For instance, I use Google because I like the algorithm. I don't recommend Yahoo. I don't recommend Bing. But if you want privacy and security, in other words, not using, so Google uses your demographics, but that's what basically pays for them to give you good search. DuckDuckGo and Ecosia is one that a certain amount of the revenue from the search goes to a charity. But let's go back through all the rest of these across the top in Safari. And I'm going to do the Mac first, and then I'll do iOS on the iPhone second. So under settings, in general, you can kind of do whatever you want here. And I won't go into much detail because it's pretty self-explanatory. Whatever page you want, when you create a new page, you can have it here to go to it. Or if you're on a start page, you can say set to current page. In fact, I'm going to get my cursor going so you guys can see it. There we go. So tabs. Tabs are these little things across the top. And actually, before I do that, I should show you one thing. A lot of you, Apple at some point thought that you didn't want your favorites bar. So to get your favorites bar back, you go up here. Oh, let me get rid of this. And you say you would say show favorites bar, because a lot of you in some of the updates, Apple got rid of that. So you have to change it, toggle it from hide favorite bars like that to view and say show favorites bar. Okay. So that gets that back. Let's go back to the settings again. So this is how tabs are handled, and tabs versus windows. It's a lot more efficient to have multiple tabs open than multiple windows. Multiple windows can slow your computer down a lot, and you can go back and forth between them. And from what I've seen of the iOS and macOS 27, tabs are going to be important because you're going to be able to kind of pigeonhole those and make them work for you. But tabs are just like file folder tabs across the top. And you can just click on one, click on here. But what I like to do is, let's say I'm at, for instance, it was this thing. If I go up here and I hover over this and I hold the command key, it opens in a new tab, that new link, okay? So that's a great way to navigate tabs. For instance, if I'm doing a long, well, let me do a Google search here. Let's just say apple pie recipe. So I'm in a Google search and you get a list of them here. Well, rather than clicking on basic apple pie here and then loading the page and then going back and forth, if I hold the command key down while clicking on this, it opens in a new tab. And here is, boom. So then you can just go back and keep looking at these. June, go ahead with your question.
I got lost in the very beginning. Could you just start from, tell me how
Absolutely.
to catch up to
So
you?
we're in Safari. And if you go up to the word Safari in the upper left corner, not the Apple logo, because if we click it, that's system settings. We want to go to Safari down to settings. And then you get this window.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. Good question. Okay. So in tabs, and you can just kind of work with this and modify it how you want. I leave it fairly much defaulted. Autofill. Now, you should always have autofill on because it's going to go into your contacts. And if you have your own information in your what's called the My Contact, when you go to a website, it'll fill in your address, your phone number, and all that information for you. So that's really, really handy and important. It scares people because they go to some brand new website they've never been at, and all of a sudden you start to fill out a form and your address is there. Well, that's not Big Brother. That's getting it from your actual own contacts. It's not them. Usernames and passwords. This is where your stuff that's stored in your iCloud keychain or your passwords app will autofill when you're in it. And again, I encourage everyone to use Safari because it's the cleanest, and this is all appropriate to Safari. Now, I'm not going to click edit on my credit cards, but if you store your credit cards in Safari, now I let 4 places store my credit card online. One is Amazon, one is Apple. I forget what the other 2 are. But other than that, I use the autofill and it goes in and reaches into my cards that are stored, and they're stored in a very secure enclave inside your Mac or on your iPhone. So that's the way to do it. And then other forms is just like fill in forms. But I would encourage you to have autofill. You can go in and edit it. Because we're doing this on YouTube live, uh, if I clicked edit, it would bring up information and they won't do it. So next I click passwords. Now it used to keep the passwords here, but now we all have on both iOS and on macOS, we have a passwords app. So you can go from here and it just fires up the password app. It's not like it's stored in Safari, but Safari reaches into the passwords app and it fills in passwords for you. I don't recommend managing your passwords yourself. What I recommend is if you change your password at, say, Amazon or something like that, let the computer save or update the password for you, because it's a recipe for disaster if you try to go in and manage your passwords yourself. And again, here are the different searches you can do. I put in suggestions, I let it do that, and I just have everything on. Security. Now, yeah, this is a good setting here. JavaScript is not too much a thing anymore. Warn if it's visiting a fraudulent website. Well, they think it might be fraudulent, so you have to click a couple more times to get through just in case. And you're on a Mac, so you're pretty darn safe. Privacy. You can tell it not to do website cross-tracking. In other words, if you're looking at, let's say you're at Chevy.com for, a Chevy car, and it goes out to a local Chevy dealer, you don't want the tracking to go from one or to the other. And you also can hide your IP address from trackers. These things don't really reduce any of the functionality of what you're doing. If it's a locked tab, in other words, you can lock a tab, like I have Touch ID on my computer, I can do that. I just leave that on. Manage website data. See, I really don't have, and this is where all your cookies are and things. If you feel like it's being intrusive, you can periodically remove all of those cookies. Cookies are like breadcrumbs, and they're just following out there. And it's a bit pernicious at times, but it's also beneficial on some websites. Then here's advanced settings, and it just brings in a few more. And by the way, you can always, let's say you're in a household where you share a computer and you're looking for birthday gifts or Christmas gifts for somebody else in your household. Well, what I would do with that is, because you're going to have a history, is I would go up to the top here and say new private window. And when I fire up a new private window, you can see I know I'm in a private window. This doesn't get saved into history. It doesn't get stored, and it's very secure. Now, that's the problem with that is, let's say you are just searching for something and you come back 2 days later and you're trying to remember what you searched for. If you'd done it in private browsing, you wouldn't have any way to go back and find that. So only when you're doing things that you don't want to be, when you want to be anonymous, you can do that. I occasionally do that with airline fares and things like that. We'll go back to the window up here in the settings again. So that was this advanced in here. Excuse me. Next, after security, privacy, websites. Now, this didn't used to be a big deal. Most of the time, the browser defaults to reader. Now, I have mine so it doesn't default to Reader, but let me go ahead and show you what Reader is. So if I go to, I've got to move this Zoom thing out of the way. There we go. So I used to use this example. I'll try. So if I go to CNN.com, this is like, oh God, this is like the home page, okay? So this is links to all kinds of other articles, all right? So you'll notice Reader is not an option up here. But let's say I click on Scientists Find Teeny Blue. So if I hit this article, now it goes to the article. And now, oh geez. Now in this article, if I go up here and I say show reader, look at how it cleans everything up. It gets rid of the superfluous stuff. And you can toggle that on or off. Your browser may be set up for it to be in reader mode. And also, if you're going to print this, reader mode is really good. So I can turn it back off. And by the way, in reader mode, if you have site issues, you can zoom in and have a higher percentage. You can find on page. You can use a different font. You can use different colors within Reader, okay? So where that came up was allowing, and if you have a website you go to, if you want to do it, you can have it be on. In fact, let's do this. I'm going to turn it on for CNN now. And let's go back to the original CNN page. And let's see here, it's loading, but it's not going to load anything because it's the main page. See, Reader doesn't work on the main page because it's all stuff that's not really the article. And in fact, if you were to email this page, let's say you saw this, let's say the highlight was, oh, they found this new blue octopus. And if you were to send this page to somebody, the regular CNN.com page, if you sent that to them right now, all these headlines will have changed. So you might be saying, oh, isn't that neat? And then it was about some plane wreck where 300 people died. And you sent them that, but then by the time they click on it, they're going to this. So one way to take care of sending that is, if you go up here to the share sheet, I can send it a link to this page or this page. And if I say this page, it will take a copy of this and it will send it just like it was. If you just send the link to CNN.com, it's 10 hours from now, it's going to be totally different headlines. And again, that's the share sheet. You can have it drop into a message or an email or add it to notes, anything else you want. We're going to go back to the settings and content blockers. I don't use content blockers. It kind of messes things up. There are probably people that download these things to say they're content blockers. Most of those are actually things that snoop on you. The only other thing we can go into, you could go in here like maybe certain websites. If they want to use my microphone, it has to ask. Pop-up windows. Now, there are certain places. So pop-up windows are the things we don't like because they used to be a whole bunch of ads and things. But certain websites like healthcare websites, Sutter Kaiser, certain bank websites and things. I was recently filling out a visa for Kenya and I had to unblock pop-ups because the way to get the form I had to let a pop-up come through. So in fact, here you can see visa immigration for Tanzania it was, and I had to allow it to get the thing. And here's a Zambia one. So it'll say on the screen, you need to unblock pop-ups. So once you go to that web page, you go into Safari settings, websites, and then the page you're on will now be listed here, and you can change it. Instead of block and notify, you can say allow. So, and that's really kind of the only other thing on here you have to worry about. Now, profiles. Profiles are where you can make, so my main one is personal, most of yours are too. I did make a second profile where, because I was planning a trip to Sri Lanka, it's still in my bucket list, but I made a special browser one where anything I go into Sri Lanka, it'll save it there. But generally speaking, you might look in profiles because sometimes some of these weird search places, they'll make a profile for you, and you don't want that to be. If you make a profile, it's fine. But if there's some other weather or search profile, get rid of them. The next thing are extensions. And I run no extensions. And sometimes you may have inadvertently added some extensions, and they'll be like, how do you search for this? Do different things like that. And the majority of those are not good. And they're really just harvesting your clicks behind the scene. So if you had an extension here, you would just hit the minus and get rid of that extension. Extensions are browser enhancements, and there are some good ones out there, but I just don't find any use of them here. And the last one is advanced, and there's really not a lot to do in this. I would leave it totally as default. So again, the way to get to that page is in Safari, go up to the word Safari, come down to settings. Okay? And they're all going to be right there. And the nice thing is you can get in. Let's say I'm on the phone with somebody and my wallet's not with me. I open up my credit cards and I can expose with my computer password what my credit card number is so I can read it to somebody on the phone if I need to. So that's settings. We're going to go across the top here. Any questions on the settings? It's fast. Luckily, this is recorded. So if we go across the top here, file, again, we did the new private window, or you can do a new tab. Let's say I'm on this tab here, and I can do Command T, and there's a cheat for it here. See how it says Command T? That opens up a new blank tab, and you can just type in whatever you want, or you can say, take me to apple.com or something in that new tab. Now, the tabs here, if I want to close a tab, I hover over and I can just click the X. Okay? So that's tabs, or I can open a new window is Command N, Command N, or a private window is uppercase Command N or Shift Command N. Tab groups, that's a whole other thing. Actually, while I'm at it, before I go across this, well, yeah, I'll wait till we get to bookmarks. So edit, just basically cut, copy, and paste, or sometimes you'll be on a PDF where someone sends you a PDF and you need to fill it out. You activate autofill form. So another thing that happens as far as a PDF, I'm going to go to a website where I know there's a PDF, lhskiclub.com. If I go down here, here is a printable membership form. So you can see here, this is a PDF, And in Safari, look what happens when I bring my cursor down here to the bottom. So this is a PDF on a website, and I can make it smaller or bigger. I can download the PDF, or if I click on this, it opens in preview. Okay, let me see if I can, when we say edit, oh yeah, this one isn't set up to do that. So if I do this, I say open in preview, now it opens up, and now I can fill out the form. So all of this is in PDF. So that's the way a PDF displays in Safari. And then down here is the autofill if you had contacts, passwords. But usually what will happen is if you're on a website that has a password, it'll just autofill it. Let me get out of a PDF. We'll go to a regular website again. So now in View, we talked about the favorites bar. The status bar is at the very bottom. So in other words, you'll notice it shows when I hover over something like this, down below, it shows me what website that is going to. That's the status bar. And then the sidebar is just the one here, whether it be bookmarks or whatever on the side, and I can toggle it off and on with that. Reading list we're going to talk about in a second. So the reading list is, so if I'm browsing something on my Mac, and let's just say it's this page, and I want to temporarily save it. I don't want to make it a bookmark. I want to save it as I save it to the reading list. So I go up to share, and if I say add to reading list, you can see it added it to the reading list. Now, when we go to my iPhone later, it'll be in the reading list on my iPhone. And so this way, for instance, let's say you're on the iPhone and you say, well, I want to see this on my Mac. You save it to the reading list. And it's just a temporary list of a whole bunch of different things that you may have saved. And don't worry about deleting them. They take up hardly any room at all. So that was View. Oh, and you can live translate pages. That's a new thing. Zoom in and zoom out. And you look here at the key, it's Command plus, Command minus. And if I do it, you can see how it zooms in, and then Command minus zooms out. And then if you want to make sure you're on the right page, you go to actual size. The other thing you can always do is hit the green dot or enter full screen. And that way it fills up your window. I always say if you're in full screen, the way you get out of full screen is you can go up and hit the green dot, but I just say hit the escape key in the upper left because you're in full screen jail, and that got you out of full screen jail. History. History is very beneficial. You can tell it to just show a page with all your history, or you can go in and see your recently closed tabs. You can say reopen all tabs from last session, or you go in here and it shows my most recent things. And then earlier today, you can see just where you went and go back. And if again, you're shopping for somebody and you didn't do the private browsing, you can clear your history. So, and here's your personal history. Let's say you're going back to really try find something. This is the actual address, and you can go through, and it's alphabetically, but recent. And you can actually search in here. you can use a search term. So that is, oh, let me get back to, oh, what happened here? Oh, so here's an example. I inadvertently closed Safari. So I'm going to say here, oops. Oh, it crashed. Interesting. So I'm going to say reopen all windows from last session. And now it's right back to where we were. Because sometimes you have to close down to reboot and things like that. Now bookmarks. So bookmarks are bookmarks. You can make bookmark folders. And I put bookmark folders in my favorites because this is really expensive real estate up here and there's very little space. So if I drug an address down here, it's going to take up a lot of room. But I could take, let's do this. I'm going to go to this page right here, and I'm going to take this and I'm going to drag it down to my favorites bar. I'm clicking and dragging, and you can see they kind of move out of the way. So I'm going to drop it right there. Now it's in my favorites bar, but look how long that is. Well, what I want to do is I'm going to just type WWDC, and now it's taking up less room on my favorites bar. So always abbreviate there. In this case, I don't want it to be there. So I simply control click and say delete. But let's look at, oh, this is a good one. So I have folders that I have created here in my favorites bar. And when I click on this, I could go to just one of these, okay? So that goes to that web page. But I'm going to open a brand new window to show you what this does. When I click here on Siri shortcuts, when I click on the folder, it opens all of the things in there in new tabs. Oh, actually, that was the wrong one.
So no such bucket.
What's that?
Starts off no such bucket.
Yeah, well, and the thing was, is it didn't do that particular page. So I'm going to close this window because it didn't do it right. So I'm going to open the new window. And if I go to, oh, I see, because I have all these Glacier ones. That's what it is. Yeah, I don't know why Glacier shouldn't be in there. Glacier should be in my travel tabs. So let's do a different one. Here's healthcare. So if I say open in tabs, it opens every one I have in that folder. So like if you had one with news or your financial and stuff, when you make a folder, a bookmarks folder, whether it's in favorites or in bookmarks, you can say open everything that's in that folder.
Sorry.
And go ahead.
We're sorry.
Oh, yeah. See, this is an old one. Movo, MedLink. I don't know. These are old breadcrumbs. So, and then all your bookmarks are here. And then see when it hits a folder, it shows you like there would be imported. Here's a, well, let's go to, yeah, I've got these folders and nothing in them. But anyway, oh, here we go. Here's the healthcare folder. That's weird. Save tabs. Okay. So you can manage your bookmarks if you click up here, and then we don't want to be in reading list. We click here and we go to bookmarks. And now it shows all my bookmarks. And I can manage those by dragging a website from here down to there, or I can manage it within it. And bookmark management is good, but I really encourage using bookmark folders. And what happens with favorites, when your favorites bar gets too full, you get these two little arrows. And I have all these other favorites I can go through, and some of these are really old. So, all right, window. You know, you can do your window sizing, move and resize, different things like that. You can arrange tabs in a certain order. I don't really do that. If you want to arrange your tabs, just go up here, push and hold, and you can move your tab wherever you want. Like if you're looking at two different things and you want them to be right next to each other in tabs, you can do that. And then help is kind of in there. All right, so I'm going to go here to iOS quickly. Let me go to Finder, and we're going to say hi to others. All right. Okay, that. And I'm going to fire up my iPhone to look at. Okay. Oh, I just got to notice I got a software update for my car. I'm excited. 14.3.3.3. All right. So if we go in here, I want to go first to settings for Safari, because in iOS, the settings are within the app, but on the iOS, iPad, and iPhone, it's an app. And we go down to Safari. I'll just do this. Nope, it won't do that. Come on, give me my scroll wheel. Oh my gosh. It's because I'm controlling the iPhone from my computer. It's not the best interface. We're getting there. I have way too many apps. Yes, I know. I'm not a hoarder. I'm a keeper. All right, we're getting there.
How does a keeper keep track?
I use the search. I've got great search, so I'm able to use that instead of that. And actually, going into the apps this way is weird. So if I click Safari, well, there's not a lot of choices here. So I know what it is. It is, we go back here and it's search. And is it under general?
Oh,
Where is it? Where's search on the iPhone, Bob? Oh, here we go.
I say at the bottom usually.
No, it's search for that. It's the search engine.
Oh,
So it says apps in Safari. So yeah, so here's how you would choose it. It's in apps, and for some reason Safari wasn't showing it when I went there. So now it's Safari, and now I see all the screen that's up here. Default browser, you can decide to be a different browser. You can have DuckDuckGo. You don't use Chrome, you guys. Firefox, whatever you want. But I encourage you to use Safari as your default browser. Again, your search engine, you've got your different choices. You want all of these on. So in other words, as you're typing, it'll start to give you suggestions. And then preload top hit. In other words, what it thinks would be the right one will do it. And we're going down here. Here's our autofill, just like we had on or other on the Mac. And again, this is under settings and block up pop-ups. Oops. Oh gosh. Well, that was kind of the end of it right there because I just, let's see. There we are. We're back to it. Autofill, extensions, block pop-ups, where you want your downloads to go. Like on your computer, it probably goes into a downloads folder, but on your, if you download something on the iPhone, it goes there. And then how do you want your tabs? Because the default now is the tabs are kind of on the bottom, but you can say where you want them. You want them in the bottom or the top. Top was the old way, and that's the way I have it. You can make it so it's compact. And when you open a link, you can have it open in a new tab if you want. And then your privacy and security, just the same settings. I think that should be on. And I don't have anybody to be on my phone, but you could make it so that if you have private browsing on, that someone would have to, you'd have to use your either Face ID or Touch ID to get into that. And then you have your history and everything here. Page zoom. Oh, here's an interesting one. And this applies more to the iPad than it does on the iPhone. But sometimes websites don't render very well on an iPhone, and you want to get the desktop version. So I'm not going to turn that on, but I will show you in browsing what you can do for that, because that's a really nice feature.
Can we
And
go back up? There was
okay,
highlights, just a little bit above highlights. What does
here,
highlights do?
I don't know.
Now you have yours on, I don't have mine on.
I think that's the default,
Oh, okay,
but I'm
mine was
not
off.
sure. I have no idea.
Okay.
I don't customize my stuff very much, but I do some. Uh, Speaking of that, let's go into Safari. And I'm at a website. Well, let me just go to a website here. Let's try apple.com. And if I go over here, I can hit the three dots, the ellipsis, and I can say request desktop website. And you'll see it doesn't look too much different here because it's Apple. But in some cases, and especially on an iPad, it will look like the regular desktop instead of what's called a mobile. Let's do our CNN scenario again. I go here and I go to CNN.com. Yeah, okay. So you can see it's everything that we saw on that page now is just listed here like this. Let's see if it will do. It kind of changed it a little bit. Okay. But again, there's so much on this page. So, and reader doesn't show up, but if we go in, we'll click on, let's see if the octopus article's still there, since it's non-controversial. So now we're there, and now we say we can show reader, and look how clean it is on the iPhone with the reader version. I'm going to show you one other trick, and I didn't show you this on the Mac, but it works on both. This is fairly new, and you have to have a little more of a horsepower to it, but hide distracting items. So for instance, like this, if I click that, it'll get rid of it. Advertisers hate this. See, here's an advertisement up here. click, it got rid of it. Well, nope, it clicked on it. My mistake. I got to go back a page. So I have to hit hide distracting items. Ah, God, I hate pop-ups. Got rid of that. Hide item. Hide. See how it's getting rid of all these ads? But it's just so much easier to go into Reader. But if you're on a website and you want to clean it all up, you can do the hide distracting items. The other choices up there are, this is really, really good, especially if you're in a car, you can have it read to you.
Scientists newly identify species of tiny blue octopus that fits in the palm of your hand. Scientists have announced the discovery of a previously unidentified species of octopus.
And you can adjust the speed on that. Were you guys able to hear that or not?
Yes.
Okay, good. And that is awesome. I used to have to, and in fact, I'm glad I saw that because I didn't know it was there. I used to highlight everything and tell it to do it in the other one. The other choices you have here is to make your fonts bigger or smaller.
Would you
And
show, how did you get it to speak?
so, okay, so let me get out of this. So if I go up to the top here, when I click on the URL, I click on it and it comes down and it would say, it says resume listening, but it also where I went to see show reader. So resume listening.
Scientists have announced the discovery
And
of
now I'll
an
say,
unidentified species of octopus found in the Galapagos Island.
I'll stop it.
I just have hide distracting items and then reduce other privacy options and manage extensions.
Are you in a page that's not like the main CNN page where you have a lot of text?
Maybe I'm on maybe I'm on the main CNN. I did CNN.com at the top.
Yeah, so if I go to, because I did this specific article, let's try that. It's a good point. And then we're almost done here. So
Please don't be reading articles on the internet while you're driving, please.
why? I'm not reading it. I'm having it read to me. And my car drives itself.
Yeah, right.
Well, it does. 99% of the time I'm engaged. You
You'll
don't
get the
believe it,
same
but
answer from me every time. Yeah, right.
well, that's
I don't
and
believe.
it's 8.5 times safer than a regular driver.
Yeah.
So I know you don't believe it, Bob, but it is the truth. All right, let's so anyway, I think it's because you're at CNN, you have to be in an article where it has text, because otherwise it's got all those, 12 different articles and stuff.
All right.
So
yes,
anyway, that's a new find and that's good. So all right, I think that's pretty much, let's see if there's any Safari questions. Oh, and by the way, I'm sorry, last thing here on the iOS version, you still have a share sheet just like the other one. When you hit it, you can text it, you can do whatever. And another feature that's good is, and let me see if I can get it. It won't let me do it, but you can add it to notes. So you can copy it, add to reading list, add a bookmark, and I don't know how it's going to let me scroll across here, but to the right here would be notes. And of course, print and everything else. All right. Any questions before we go to the raffle?
How have you accumulated all this understanding of Safari?
Oh, jeez.
I use it a lot.
Millions of hours of use.
Any best sources to look at or read?
Yeah, Apple has some, and so my recommendation is just go in and do a Google search, or well, first of all, if you're interested in one thing, do it. Or let me go into, there are a couple good sources.
I also posted the Apple's Safari user guide there in the chat.
That's fantastic. And so there is one really good one called MacMost.com, and he has a YouTube channel, and you don't have to subscribe or anything, but man, his tutorial, he's kind of a nerd, but he's really good. He's fantastic. MacMost. Another one I like is Proper Honest Tech. In fact, I'll put MacMost in here. But again, you're going to want to go to his YouTube and do it there, because that's where everything is. MacMost. And another guy is Proper. I really enjoy his stuff. But to be honest, whenever I want to have something do, I just Google what it is and it tells me. And then, oh gosh, I skipped. I'm sorry. I have to get to this part, and this is incredible. So I'm going to show you how to use Gemini in Safari, and the same thing applies on the iPhone. So what we're going to do here is we're going to go in, and I'm going to say, what is the best way to learn Safari Mac? So I'm going to hit this, and look at what comes up in my results here. This is the Gemini logo, and this is AI overview. Now, if that doesn't come up, you could click where it says AI mode. So if it just came up with a normal search like this, you could hit AI mode. And I don't know why this is, for some reason, it's locked up. Anyway, when I hit show more, it'll do stuff down here. And let me reload this because, wow. Let's quit Safari and refire Safari. Okay. How do I use Safari Mac? Okay, so now when I click show more, it shows me. So it went out and it shows you the websites that it used for this information. So what AI is doing, and this is Gemini, and there is no limit to this. You can use this all you want. Now there's a Gemini app, and that's separate, and you don't get unlimited. But this is how it's going to tie into the Apple products. So it uses Gemini here, and it put in what I want. And again, if it just comes up as regular search, you can hit AI mode. Now, the best thing is I can say, okay, this tells me everything. But right in here, I can add to it. Tell me about bookmarks. So it already knows I'm asking about Safari, and it goes down here. Now, what I want to point out is I am logged into my Gmail account up here in the upper right corner. So if I click over here, I have my history of my most recent, it's keeping a record of it. So for instance, I was looking at Victoria Falls visa information. I could go back to that. I was getting information about the M4 Mac Mini. I was looking for a Ryobi part. That was an old search on here. Oh, Katmai National Park up in Alaska. So all of those things, all of my old one, oh, Gooseneck State Park. That's really cool. I'll open that one in another tab. Anyway, so all of those things are there. So if I click on Goosenecks, it goes back, and this is what I asked it to see the bend in the river at Goosenecks Park, Utah. Is the parking closer? Do I have to walk a long ways? And it took, it gave me all the information. It says it's a dark sky park and all that. I'll show you. This is the coolest thing. It's not like the bend in Page. This actually comes around and does two bends, and this is from the parking lot. Goosenecks Center. It's near Mexican Hat, Utah, not too far from Monument Valley. It's really cool. All right. So, and Chris, did I answer your question, Chris?
No, I have a question, but maybe.
No, go ahead. We got two questions. We'll do it quick.
Okay. Well, so you kind of briefly touched on it, but I have heard that airlines, when you search for a ticket.
Yeah, whether that is true or not, but
I think it is, but you is there a way to
go into private browsing?
But that just hides it from you. It doesn't.
No. It hides your information that you're sharing, and it doesn't have cookies and stuff. I have a second browser I'll use to check that, or I'll go in and try it on my phone to see also.
Okay.
I'm sorry, can you explain that question? I'm not sure I understood
what. So the idea is that and I don't usually, not until I book the flight do I go to the airline site, because I use Google Flights for all of my stuff. And then the airline site stores, they're going to start to manipulate. That's all that demand pricing kind of thing. So does that make sense? All right, go ahead, June.
I had the exact same question, so thank you very much.
You bet. Yeah, it's so what I do is I use Google Flights. It's the best way to check it. They're making the inquiry, but it's not like the price is going to go up because of that. It's when you get to the actual website of the airline, and it's not all of them do it, but it's a supply and demand thing. So it's just what they're doing to try and make money these days. All right. Anybody else? Okay. Let's get on with so we're doing two $35 gift certificates on Amazon that will allow you to buy the two remaining of the David Pogues books, because we wanted to get enough of them in. And then, Lisa, what's the other one? What's the other?
Oh, wait a minute.
235s and 150.
150. Got it.
50. Just 50.
50. Yeah, no.
And before we do that, Karen,
a single 50, and the reason is because we gave extra books out on the David Pogue one, so we to keep it in the budget. Mary, what was your question?
Oh no, is that Karen's iPad? Is that Karen Owen or somebody else?
Karen, when it's on Karen's iPad, unmute yourself and tell us your.
I'm Karen Papa.
Oh, okay.
So you want to be included in the.
Yeah.
So let me add you, and we'll.
And then give me a number, Mary.
Well, it's 30 then, but I won't have a person just yet.
No, that's okay.
So. Under pressure,
That's okay. Sorry about that. I saw that earlier and I didn't mention it.
Oh, jeez. It went to full screen and now I can't. So let's see, because I'm trying to sort my data and it's not. I can't find the darn sort. See if this works. Okay, now let's
Well,
see.
actually, you know what you can do? If you already have all the numbers.
Oh, I got it, by the way.
Okay.
It took a minute, but I got it. And so it's through to 30.
Okay, and you're ready now?
I am ready now.
Fantastic. Thank you. So the first two will be the $35 gift cards. And let's see if this
Ken, do you want to
works.
stop sharing and then we can all see everybody?
Oh, yeah, thank you, Elaine. Yes, definitely. There we go. See everybody's reaction to winning. Okay. Give me a random number between 1 and 30. 12.
I tell you, Endless. How many times does he win? Does
Wow.
he win? Yeah.
Congratulations.
Yep.
Okay. Give me a random number between 1 and 30. 29.
Ray Chung.
Congratulations, Ray. And now for the $50 Amazon gift card. Give me a random number between 1 and 30. 7. Lucky number 7.
Charles Murphy.
Congratulations, Charles. All right. And is Lisa on?
Yes, I am.
Are you able to do that since we don't have our cards yet?
Yes, I will.
I
I'll send them
appreciate
out.
that. Thank you so much. All right.
Thank you.
Anybody else have any other questions? Don't forget the date change. There on 4th of July, there will not be a first Saturday. It will be on the third Saturday. No other changes in there. Okay. Thanks very much. Stick around if you have any other questions. Otherwise, that's about it. And I won't be attending anything for a month. I'll be in the Great Race, which you can see behind me, and it goes where it's the 100-year anniversary of Route 66. So we're going from uh, oh gosh, Illinois to Pasadena. So, and it'll be over 9 days. So be pretty cool. Get your kicks
Wow.
on Route 66. And it's the official 100th year anniversary of Route 66.
Well, have a good time.
Thank
Nice.
you very much.
Stay safe out there in those
Yeah,
jalopies.
you can you'll be able to follow it at greatrace.com.
Thanks, Ken.
Okay. Thank you,
Always
everybody.
interesting.
I have a couple of things I'd like to ask.
Go ahead, Elaine.
Really basic. How did you change your cursor to be a pink circle or to anything else besides a little
Yeah, it's a
arrow?
program I have and I don't know how much it was, but it's called Pro Mouse.
Oh, so it's not part of the system. You had to do an app.
Yeah, because you can do certain things in your system, but not that.
There,
There's one I had done a long time ago, but it isn't active anymore.
I think
And you
there's
can make
several of
it
those
different
kinds out there.
colors. What's that?
I believe there's probably several of those
Yeah,
kinds of
definitely.
apps.
When I
Yeah,
when I
yeah.
researched it 5 years ago, this was the one that was it. So
Does Zoom have its own way to do that?
it
I don't think so.
might, but the weird thing is with Zoom, you start doing this thing where it's like you're writing on a chalkboard kind of thing, and that throws me. So, well, let's use AI. Let me see here. So let's say, does Zoom on the Mac have a cursor enhancer? And yes, it does. You can use Zoom built-in screen sharing annotation tools, Mac OS system accessibility settings. Oh, there's something in accessibility setting. Or third, so I'm going to ask further here. You can use Zoom's native spotlight tool.
Native spotlight.
Yeah. So while sharing, click annotate in the controls and select spotlight. If you guys want, I'll give it a whirl. You
That's
have to
okay.
be,
That's what I needed to know. Thanks.
yeah. So let's see where their annotate tools are.
See what it does.
Yeah, because this would be better. Because I know that when it came up before, it's got a stupid oh, here it is. Annotates in the message bar. So annotate. It pops up. And there's a Zoom. Spotlight. Okay. So now it's just a red dot. Options.
Which would be okay if you could make the dot bigger.
Yeah, that's what I'm looking for here. So let me go back. It says spotlight, turn your red dot or arrow, making it highly visible. Third party enhancers you can see on my screen.
Oh, yeah.
Mouse Pro, Cursor Highlight Pro, or Presentify. So one thing I've got to change in my settings is when I use the Pro mouse, when I hit Control to like scroll in, it shadows my screen. But yeah, it doesn't look like I don't see options to
Once you
do.
know what to look for, the red dot is fairly visible.
Yeah, but but especially if you're on like a busy page.
Yeah, it would be nice to make it a little bigger or a different shape or something.
Yeah. So again, I've seen, and I'll do what I'll do for you, Elaine, here. Let me turn this off. And then I will uh, put these in the chat, the links to the different ones that it
Yeah,
says.
I already put the Mouse Pro in there.
Mouse Pro, okay, well here's Highlight Pro, $5.99.
Well, here's a question. I love that the chats get saved, but if you're several months past a chat you are interested in, is there a way to search the chats that have been saved to find the topic that you were interested in?
Because your mail searches that, if it's attached in the email, you should be able to have that come up.
Okay. You search in mail.
Yeah, search in mail, and if there's a PDF attached to it, it should search that PDF also.
Okay,
But
cool.
it
So
would,
let me look at this one while we're here, because this brings up a good thing just to
wouldn't
see.
it, if the topic was in the email that Bob sends out, you could you can search there, but if it's in the PDF, can you?
If it's in the PDF, it should, I'm
Okay,
not positive. I know if the PDF's in your computer, it will read inside the PDF.
okay.
I'm not sure about it
If the
on mail.
topic name is embedded in a URL, will it find it?
Well, the URL is usually pretty, the URL would not probably have the association to the name of what it is. So just looking at these, Mouse Pro is $9.99, and I've had it forever. $5.99 for cursor highlight, and there. Let me look. So I'm going to ask now, is there a free Mac version to
Al is pretty good about putting
OA?
text in addition to the URL and saying something about what's in the URL.
Right, but it's
Al,
sent
thanks.
out as the problem is it's sent out as a PDF is what
Right.
I'm saying.
Yes.
Couldn't you, if you've saved all the email blasts and you had them in some folder, couldn't you just point an AI at it and then make your query and have the
Yeah.
AI search all that stuff?
Well, you don't even need AI. Spotlight will search inside it. Spotlight will reach into every PDF you have on your computer and pull out what you want. So here's a few free ones. So what I'm going to do here to further our thing, I will click this. Actually, I'll do this. I'll say share. I'm going to copy the link, and then anybody that goes to this link, this entire search will come up.
Where did you go to click share?
Down here in the bottom of, see, this is my AI. So this copies it. So it copies the text. But if I hit share, it comes up with a link that's a particular number to this search. And it won't be this. It'll even go back to where we started it. And
Pretty helpful.
I just put that in the text. Almost all the AIs have that. And then of course, it's over here in my history now too. So if you are doing a search like this and you want to try it, you would go with a new thread. Like if all of a sudden you want to ask about fishing places and things like that, don't continue in the same one because it makes it real tough. Cool. Yeah, this Gemini is pretty darn good, but as I always tell everybody with AI, go ahead and if it's something critical, search at least one other place to verify the result. And if it's like medications or something, do two others. Trust but verify, as Reagan said. And it's so true.
How did you get into Gemini? Was that as an application?
Nope. There is an application. Well, so in the Mac, I could go up here to Grok or ChatGPT as a URL at the top. But when I do a search in Safari, it comes up automatically. So I'm going to start with a new one here. I'm going to say,
You're not show your screen, Ken.
oh, I'm sorry.
Got
Yeah.
the gallery.
Where'd it go?
Yeah, I missed how to get into Gemini too. I was going to do the recording, so thank you for asking.
Sorry, I clicked my mute. Okay, so I'm going to say, let's see. I'm just going up to the very top, and I'm not at Google. I go best hiking near Donner Pass. So it automatically came here with some AI. Okay, so see this little, let me get my cursor back on, with the little Gemini logo, and this is AI overview. And then this is all the stuff. But now the beauty of this is you can say, I can go here and add to this and say, under 2 miles. So in other words, hikes that are less than 2 miles. You're further refining it. Oh, and see, this didn't do, it did this, And then it came back with these results. Here are the best short hiking options under 2 miles for both locations.
So you got AI and then not AI answering your query.
Yeah, well, it gets out of, yeah, and what's weird, I'm gonna do a new window because it's confusing it with the goosenecks thing. So let's say somebody asked me a question, I'll put it in. Don't all rush.
Best swimming holes near Sacramento.
That would be interesting.
Yeah. So now it did do AI for a quick dip here, blah, 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 and the Thomas, etc.
Came up
And
with the
then,
two I would,
Yeah,
Natoma or Paradise Beach.
yeah.
yeah.
I
That's the
would.
two
Well,
I would.
and then it gives Sly Park. So I could say expand to 2.5 hours away.
That's
And see, it
correct.
doesn't give me that AI because we're in the AI. And what the AI did is just give it to you here. And it added to what we already had.
How do you know we're in
And
the
then what I
AI?
really like is this is when you get results like this, many times I will ask them to put, so now, okay, so here is a whole bunch. So now I'm going to say, put all locations
The fact that he
into
has that
a,
box that
a
he's typing
table.
into tells you
What?
he's in AI.
Yeah, because it was it up at the top, into a table like you built. And now it's gonna, because this, see, it puts the Paradise Beach, and look at that.
Wow.
Pretty handy.
It's very handy. And what it's doing is, I mean, I'll go like here, there was, so All Trails, which is a great source for stuff, but they went down and you'd go to All Trails and you'd be hunting around inside All Trails, but it brings back all that information. I mean, it'll search 50 different websites and all kinds of
And
things.
what a time saver.
Oh, it's huge. And
It's
then the fact that you can further refine it. And that, again, the best part about this is there's no limit for us because of the deal that Apple did with Gemini.
And is there some marker or logo that tells me I'm in Gemini right now?
Well, right over here it says AI mode, but
Aha.
when we do it earlier, and by the way, make sure you're signed into your Google account because then it's going to keep all of your stuff. So let's just do, I'm going to do a new window and I'm going to say best sushi restaurants. If I can. In Fair Oaks, let's say. Now see, it didn't do AI. Okay. Because that's a regular search. But if I click here and say AI, it will send it out to Gemini. And you can see it searched a whole bunch. I saw it do TripAdvisor and some other. And I'm not seeing the logo, but the logo is usually there if it does it. But here it is. It put it in a chart for me because it knows I like charts.
Hmm.
So if we go back and say best Tahoe hike. Now, see this logo right here? That tells me I'm in the all search, but it's saying this is the result that's AI. And so it does, hey, best overall, short and scenic. And you can, and then again, ask anything is if you want to continue to narrow the field or add more things to it, ones that are, close to parking or something like that. Anyway, it's just amazing.
And any kind of search engine can turn up, well, any of the major search engines would turn up the.
Well, so yeah, so AI's, so for instance, when you saw earlier, so Reddit is one that's common. It's going out and finding the appropriate stuff. But for instance, like there's some Macintosh forums on how to do things. So what it'll do is it'll dig down into that. It says, oh, well, we've got to go to that forum and check it. And then it goes down into all the pages and pages and pages of these forums, and it extracts the pertinent information that you're asking and then gives you a summary of it. And it's just, and like this, it even says here, choose area. So you could choose where in Lake Tahoe. So it is just, it's Google search on steroids. And to me, this is the very useful part of AI, but AI itself is so much more than like, look here. Here is snow.com, which is a really a website I use in the winter all the time. And then it shows there, and then it's visit Reno Tahoe. These are all the websites it went to. And they, what it just did, you could have done in 30 minutes time. And it did it in seconds. And then this is just the regular old Google listing down here.
Was there a demarcation between the AI and the Google listings?
Yeah, it's right here.
They ask anything.
And again, remember, this is now, if you want to continue to ask it questions about it, you can do that, or you can do a new search, because sometimes with AI, it'll bring up other things like, oh, well, then what about this and all that? And then, like, for instance, the voice versions of these, like, for instance, in my car, hands-free, I can have an ongoing conversation with Grok, and it'll do, why is the sky blue? And then this, and then, you can keep going, digging these holes and go down. It's amazing. But again, stuff like this is they don't hallucinate, but an AI is getting better at checking itself. But if you're looking for very important information, whether it be taxes, whether it be medication, whether it be symptoms, I back it up with one or two other AI checks. And they're getting better where they're checking themselves, but and this is really just this is a low end task for AI. AI is so much more than this. It's just amazing.
Can I ask a question that's separate but
Go ahead.
related? Suppose you wanted to, and I do this all the time, copy and paste some information from the page you're on into say, a spreadsheet. Can you bring the spreadsheet up in Excel next and have this screen that you have up side by side so you can see them both at the same time? And you can just copy and paste in.
Yeah, I have a pretty big screen, so I would reduce this a little bit and go here. And like I have a number sheet I do all the time, and I'll show you a little trick on this though.
Yeah, please.
So if I open up my trips. So what I do is I have one with all my different one. I've got my Africa trip, and I put in all this information. So if I wanted to take this information, Mount Talac and all this, I would highlight it. I either hit Command C or Edit Copy. And then when I get over here, here's the trick. If I were to paste it here, edit, paste. Oh, it didn't do it. Well, okay, let me undo that. Let's do this.
But you could shrink both of those so that you could see them fully at the same time.
Yeah, but I can do a thing called application switcher.
Oh,
So I have them here. So I'll show you that in a second, but let me just paste this.
yep.
So if I go over here and I just did regular paste, see, it's a whole different font. So let me undo that. And then I do what's called edit, paste, and match style.
Right.
And I have this keyboard combo down. It's command shift, uh, command shift option, and then V.
Mm.
And if you do that, see, then it does it with whatever the default text was, because
Right.
you said like putting it in a spreadsheet.
Right.
So, and then I'm going to undo that because I don't want that in my thing. But now there's an application. Are you on a Mac right now?
Yes.
Okay. So
it's a laptop.
yeah, no problem. So you can change programs. So hold down the command key right now, just the command key. I recommend the one on the left. Hold it down with one finger and then tap the tab one time and look what comes up on your screen.
Ah.
And now let go and you're switching between your two most recent apps every time you do it.
Okay. Cool. So it's command tab.
Yep. But then also that'll get you back and forth between the two you're using.
Yep.
But if you hold command and now when I hit tab, it works its way across if I wanted to go to preview or keynote or something else. But the two most recent, you just hit command tab and release and get rid. And that's application switcher, I believe is the name.
Great.
Yeah.
Pretty handy.
Thank you.
Oh, it's
I use it all the time.
that's
Yeah.
and the paste and match style is a lifesaver.
I have somehow missed some of these very basic things.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
Elaine,
Yeah.
you can do the same thing on phones or iPads.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, when you go paste, when you go to paste, a window comes up and you have to put the arrow to the right. Actually, here's another thing that I should have showed during the thing. So either on your phone or here, let's look at this word granite. So if I hover over and hit the control key and do that, it says, oh, and it looks up in the dictionary. And you have that same thing if you highlight a word on your iPhone and it will go into your dictionary. The first time it might ask you to do your dictionary. And then this ask about is part of the whole Apple Intelligence. So again, I hovered over the word and hit control and it makes my screen do that because of the cursor thing.
Right.
And then I just click on it and I say, look up or translate.
Cool.
Yeah, I love it if I'm reading something because then you learn a new word too, you know.
Yeah. With that command tab, if you also hit one of the arrow keys, you can go left or right.
Correct. It defaults going from left to right, but yeah.
Okay.
It's a huge time saver. And actually on the iPhone and iPads now, if you highlight it, and it's tough to do, but you can actually go and you have it on your finger and then you carry it over and you can go paste it. But I'm not very good at it. It's more of a pain in the butt than anything. All right. We beat this dead horse.
Thank you so much, Ken.
Yeah, absolutely. Good questions. Great questions.
Yeah. All right,
And
gang.
you, man, Bev's holding out here, man. You're what, 2 hours ahead of us? Oh, you're muted.
Yeah. You're
11:36.
11:36. Yeah.
All right.
All
All
right,
right,
gang.
everybody. Al, I will send the PDF of when it
Yeah.
generates the AI notes for
Yeah.
this.
Yeah. Very good.
So,
Very good.
and if you don't get the chat, let me know.
I'll save it once more and make sure we're safe there. All right. Looking good.
Good.
Take care, gang.
Take
Thanks,
care,
everybody.
everybody.
Thanks soon.
Great to see y'all.